Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. Greetings to all future champions. Welcome back to the speech competition of the 26th ALSA National English Competition. Congratulations to all the 5 selected finalists. I hope you had a good lunch and prepared yourself for the next round already. Before we start, I would like to thank our sponsors and partners. Thank you to Toko Vendor and Royal English as our sponsors and info.lomba, eventcenter.id, online.lomba, Point Campus, Event Campus, Jagat Lomba Indonesia, Media Lomba Plus, infolomba.est, and infolomba.sch as our media partner. Before announcing the finalists for today's round, I would conduct a roll call first to make sure all the participants are present. Please say present when your name is being called. To Azalia Audrey Leswari, are you present?
Present.
Thank you. To Elfrilia Yolanda, are you present? Once again, to Elfrilia Yolanda, are you present? Okay, moving on. To Ulfatur Ramadian, are you present?
Present.
All right, thank you. To Antonius Teharefa, are you present?
Present.
Thank you. To Fauziatun Nabila, are you present?
Present.
Thank you. To Maulana Irfan, are you present? Once again, to Maulana Irfan, are you present? All right, moving on to Despina Mayang, are you present?
Present.
Thank you. To Maritza Nur, are you present?
Yes, present.
All right, thank you. To Rania Fauzi, are you present? Once again, I would like to call Rania Fauzi, are you present? All right, moving on to Irdina Novi, are you present?
Present.
All right, thank you. To Aurelia Natasha, are you present?
Present.
All right, thank you. To Muhammad Farhan, are you present?
Present.
Thank you. To Yeshike Putri, are you present?
Present.
Thank you. To Karenita, are you present?
Present.
Thank you. To Nafisha Faizer, are you present?
Present.
Thank you. Once again, I would like to roll call to Elfrilia Yolanda. Are you present? All right, moving on to Maulana Irfan. Are you present? All right, to Rania Fauzi. Are you present? Apologies for the inconvenience, judges and participants. Please wait for a moment because the committee is trying to contact the semifinalists that are not in the Zoom meeting right now. All right, once again, I would like to conduct a roll call to Elfrelia Yolanda. Are you present? All right, to Maulana Irfan, are you present? All right, to Rania Fauzi Bawazir, are you present?
Yes, I'm present.
All right, thank you. Next, I would like to announce the finalists for today's round. The finalists are Fauziatun Nabila Sudarko, Muhammad Farhan Agustino, Irdina Novi Ramadana, Azalia Audrey Leswari, and Rania Fauzi Bawazir. Congratulations to all the finalists. For those of you who haven't made it to the final round, don't be discouraged, as I'm sure you have done your best, and I wish to see you in the upcoming opportunities. Moving on to the final round, all participants will deliver the speech for 7 to 10 minutes, starting from 13 until 14:30 WIB. After delivering the speech, there will be an additional 5 minutes for the judges to give feedbacks. I would also like to notify that all the semifinalists who haven't made it to the final round can also stay and watch the finalists perform. Thank you to all participants. Now, we will also randomize the order of the performance first. All right, that will be the order of the performance for the final round. Now, without further ado, let's start the final round. To participant number 1, Azalia Audrey Leswari, are you ready? Once again, I would like to ask to participant number 1, Azalia Audrey Leswari, are you ready and present? Excuse me, to participant number 1, are you ready?
I'm sorry, 1 second. I think my laptop is kind of have a trouble.
All right, that's okay.
Okay. Respectable educators and distinguished ladies and gentlemen, have you ever met someone who falls head over heels to Korean idols. I mean, like, who doesn't? Who doesn't fall for a perfect looking human? Outstanding performance, unreal looks, and high quality contents make Korean entertainment no wonder have won millions of hearts worldwide. Talented, good looking, and rich. From our point of view, Korean idols and actors are living their best and perfect life. But behind the scene of the sparkling and glamour world, there are the untold sorrows they have to go through. Millions of eyes are looking at them, watching every single move they've made, and judging every single step they take. They are walking on eggshells literally every day. Idols and actors have to be and look as perfect as they can because one single mistake can lead them to an endless cyberbullying, hate speech, and even worse, cancel culture. Imagine your whole career you've built can be instantly ruined just because of a single article and comment from strangers. Not only that, they also have to face the hoax and baseless rumors. This kind of pressure they have to carry on their shoulders often causes mental illness, especially depression. And in a worst case, the depressed feeling can lead them to suicidal thoughts, or even worse, suicide. Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever heard of this heartbreaking case? A well-known actress and a former good group member of FX, Solly, committed suicide on 2019 due to her severe depression. She received many hateful, misogynistic, and abusive comments on whatever she did, and most of them were way too much, which made her suffer from severe depression. And in the end, she gave up and decided to end her life. So, my point is, this case proves that those malicious anonymous comments can actually kill someone without a single trace and without a single weapon. Few social media, such as Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and so on, have already enforced the platforming. In a nutshell, they have rights to remove the account who violates the platform's rules. For instance, Twitter has the rules and policies which specifically rule its principles against abuse, harassment, hate speech, and also violence. Facebook also has community standards which rule the same specific things to prevent controversial, harmful, and hateful content and to build a peaceful environment for its users. Anyone who violates the rules, their account will be removed immediately. So, my big question is the platforming really the answer in countering hate speech? Does it really work to fight cyberbullying? Well, everything has its pros and cons. As we know, one social media platform, such as Twitter, has millions of users worldwide. It certainly takes a lot of time to report and ban the accounts who break the rules. How we filter those comments is also a problem since hate speech is subjective. There are people who don't, but there are also people who feel offended about that. And the worst thing is, the user who gets banned can easily make a new account since it doesn't require a lot of energy to make one. The platforming also sounds like a violation of freedom of speech law since we have the equal rights to speak and express our opinions. However, the platforming would successfully fight against cyberbullying if we could work out the cons one. If the hate speech, online shaming, and cyberbullying went too far, just like in the Solis case I've told you before, I believe that the platforming is one of the best ways to stop it. reporting, banning, and suspending their social media accounts might be the right choice to prevent unwanted things, even though the platforming sounds like a violation of freedom of speech. But I think when it comes to hate speech, shaming, and cyberbullying, which can cause mental illness or even worse, suicide to someone who receives it, I believe we need to prioritize it rather than freedom of speech itself. Despite the pros and the cons, and considering its benefits, I surely believe that the platforming is one of the best ways to stop hate speech and cyberbullying. Words may be weightless, but it's sharper than a sword. A few words can actually hurt and kill someone without a single trace. Ladies and gentlemen, before expressing our thoughts on social media, please beware of the after effect. A small criticism for you might be nothing, but for them could be a giant step on their chest, which can make them decide to end their life. And sometimes it's better to keep our mouth shut rather than to hurt other people. Thank you.
All right, thank you to participant number 1. Should there be any comments by the judges, the time and place is yours.
Okay, so I would like to give a comment. Congratulations, very wonderful speech. And I only have one comment. You talked a lot about the platforms who could block all these comments, and all of a sudden you talk about, oh yeah, guys, why don't you take responsibility also yourself, the user? So I think there should be a little bridge transition. Like, okay, the platforms can do their best, but they cannot be everywhere. So that's why I know you did mention it earlier, but you can mention it again. So that the conclusion is, yeah, guys, for the moment it's our turn. That but for delivery it's very nice. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for the feedback. I really appreciate it.
I also would like to give a feedback. Hi, Azalia. So in addition to what Ibu Harlina has said, I agree that you have such an interesting content in your speech. And also the bridge that she mentioned, I think could be made more impactful by emphasis on the climax. For example, but is the platforming enough? No, we need you as the user, then la 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 la. So I mean, the bridge can be just like 1 or 2 sentences, but put more climax into it. So I think that would make it a very impactful speech as well. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. I really appreciate it.
I think feedback for me would be just pay better attention on what do you say that stress when you speak. Sometimes I mean, like I still heard some lapses when you pronounce certain words, for example. And hopefully next time maybe you can I mean, like do some editing in terms of grammatical errors. Okay. I find some errors in subject of agreement or word forms that, yeah. But overall, I mean, like I can understand the message. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. I really appreciate your feedback.
All right, thank you, judges. To participant number 1, please stay in the Zoom meeting until the end of the session. Moving on to the next participant, participant number 2, Rania Fauzi Bawazir. Are you ready? Once again, I would like to call participant number 2, Rania Fauzi Bawazir. Are you ready and are you present? Apologize for the inconvenience, judges. The committee is trying to contact Rania right now. Since Rania is currently attending a schedule right now, I would like to ask for the judges, is it okay if we move on to the third participant? All right, then I would like to call participant number 3, Irdina Novi. Are you present and are you ready?
Yes, I am.
All right, thank you. Your time is 7 to 10 minutes. Please deliver your speech.
All right. Oh, sorry. I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Dear educators and participants of ALSA National English Competition 2022, Donald Trump is an F-liar. That was one of the controversial comments I heard all the time during the course of 2021. The presidential election has always been a hot topic for some time, especially in a big country that uses a presidentialism system such as the USA. Starting from the pre-event to the post-event, you will always hear this topic everywhere in social media or even in daily life conversation. Some of you probably have heard about the case of the ex-American president, Donald Trump, that getting banned for using some social media right after the American presidential election in 2021. Interesting, right? At that time, Trump didn't feel it was fair for him when the result of the presidential election came out. He claimed that he was being cheated. Trump then stated his opinion on social media with propagated words, hate speech, and misinformation that led his supporters to commit acts of demonstration, including violence and chaos in the area of U.S. Capitol grounds. Social media such as Twitter, TikTok, Meta, Reddit, and dozens more platforms agreed to ban Trump and his supporters to avoid further chaos and defamation. This is known as deplatforming, and it aims to shut down controversial speakers or remarks by denying them access to a platform to express their views. It is a technique used by social media and other technology companies to suspend, prohibit, or restrict access to their platforms by users suspected of violating the platform's terms of service, particularly those relating to hate speech. It is probably uncommon to happen in Indonesia, especially for those who have a lot of power and influence, but even in this society of America, this policy is somehow still controversial. Many strongly support this action, and many strongly doubt this action regarding some cases. Deplatforming is considered to be a sort of innocent way to clean out the online extremists. Regarding the current cases which happened by far as a result of deplatforming, you will probably know why exactly this policy is still controversial. In 2015, Islamic extremist leader Al-Qaeda had got banned from using some social media, Facebook and Twitter, but then he and his followers moved into Telegram to continue the action. Somehow, this case proved the remedy of this deplatforming policy. Many doubted this action because it is only a temporary action by watching the result of those extremists at the end of the day getting an easy way to move on to another platform. By this, deplatforming could radicalize a group support base, which would shift the issue to unmoderated platforms like Telegram or Discord, or even niche platforms like Gap. Even though in November 2019, Telegram and leading European Union law enforcement agencies worked together to clean up what was left of the movement online to diminish the group's ability to recruit, coordinate, and organize violence in the real world, but it doesn't necessarily deter people who already endorsed the content. So, why deplatforming is not really enough to fix those problems is that the internet and social media system is actually more complex than it looks. There are connections between the users and the third parties. The social media company needs to show who is paying for ads, how much they are paying, and who is being targeted. Also commit to meaningful transparency of platform algorithms so that we can understand how and what content is being amplified, who is receiving it, and the impact. But the contrary thing is, on the other side, deplatforming can be such a quick response against online extremism on social media, proved by the transparency reports of Facebook that taking action against 17.8 million pieces of content due to concerns about terrorist propaganda, and Twitter taking action against almost 600 accounts for violating hate speech policies between January and June of 2019. Another proof comes from researchers at Georgia Institute of Technology who studied Reddit bans and came to the conclusion that those who received punishment for hate speech either completely left Reddit or drastically reduced the amount of hate speech there by between 80 and 90%. Ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, deplatforming is already a good choice of policy to be applied in the society of social media to prevent extremism, hate speech, propagative oration, and fake news. But to make it more effective, the system ought to support it. Deplatforming policy can create a multi-stakeholder strategy that encourages more collaboration among technology businesses, the government, and civil society. Beyond deplatforming, self-regulation actions organizations take to replace or augment official regulations and norms will be crucial. By working with the government and technology companies, civil society actors must prioritize improving the digital literacy of the populace and elevating civic education to the status of a national security necessity. That would be a perfect combination of the advantages of free expression with the requirement to protect citizens and democratic institutions. Ladies and gentlemen, aside from that, I know that every person in the world has their own freedom to share their opinion, especially on the internet and social media. But one thing that we all need to understand and acknowledge is that we also need ethics and behaviors to act and to share. Freedom of expression is having its own regulation. Freedom is not totally free, but it is how you can manage your criticism and thought in a manner way. I believe if deplatforming has been constructed more perfectly, it has become one of the easiest ways to clean out hate speech, potential for cyberbullying, and other online violence, as we all expected as a long time. Thank you.
All right, thank you. To participant number 3, comments by the judges. The time and place is yours.
Okay, I would like to say a few words. So thank you very much, Edina. Very interesting speech. The problem is that I couldn't hear you very well. I don't know what happened. And is it because of the pronunciation or because you were speaking a bit fast? You still had some time. But if you have the feeling that you have to speak fast, it means that it's either the purpose that is, there are two purposes, or maybe you give a lot of examples. I think the purpose was already good. So I think it's about the examples. If which one would you drop? If you could cut, if you cut, what example would you drop?
I think I explained about in my point of view what is the good and bad of this deplatforming policy.
Mm-hmm. So the thing is, it's up to you to decide, as long as it serves the purpose, so that you have more time to speak slower. Yeah. So because I don't know, if it's a connection issue or something, I really couldn't hear you well. And then secondly, you tend to swing a little bit. But I do love your confidence. You know, I see that you know what you're talking about, and good luck for your finals. Thank you much.
All right, thank you, Miss.
Hi, Edina.
Hello.
Hello. So congratulations on made it to the finals. I agree with, again, when Ibu Harlina mentioned her feedback, I was like, So the question to which examples would you drop is between Trump and Al-Qaeda, right? Because both are huge examples. So I think it would be a great idea to just use one, and also to utilize the time to speak slower. And if it's possible, also find an example from Indonesia. Maybe this is an uncommon phenomena, but I'm sure there'll be somewhere like along the lines in the news that, you know, us Indonesians actually have been banned because of some hate comments, etc. So it is more relatable. I understand that this is a big speech that you need solid examples. So Donald Trump would make a great example for that, but then make it also relatable to us by using examples from Indonesian people, right? Second thing is, yeah, the movement was a bit disturbing, like moving back and forth. So I think try to make the movement more purposeful. For example, when you explain about Donald Trump, like you would use the right stage, and then when you explain about another example, use the left stage. So it gives you some room to move. So instead of like moving not purposefully back and forth, move like left and right, but within purpose. Thank you.
All right, thank you for the feedback.
I don't think I have other things to say actually. I mean, Ibu Harlina and Ibu Fatima have made great points.
Can I say one more point again? Capital, you have to say what it is, because not everybody understands what it is. Why is it so important? The capital, yeah? You have to explain it a little bit. Sorry.
All right.
All right, thank you, judges. To participant number 3, please stay in the Zoom meeting until the end of the session. Now, moving on to the next participant. I would like to call participant number 2, Rania Fauzi Bawazir. Are you still present in the Zoom meeting and ready?
Yes, I'm present.
All right. Your time is 7 to 10 minutes. Please deliver your speech.
Have you ever come across a hate comment on the internet? Because I think you will be lying if you said no. Because as someone who uses the internet on a daily basis, my answer will be yes. But what will you do if you saw the hate comments? Will you just ignore it, block it, or report it? Personally, I'll just ignore it. Unless what they say really hurts my feelings. Or maybe hurt the others' feelings. Because I know that a lot of people, at least, get hate comments every single day, every single week, every single month. The internet is known like as a place for freedom. You can do whatever you want to do, and you can say whatever you want to say. And sadly enough, the internet itself is known as a place for people to do hate comments. Either it came from anonymously or maybe from an account that you may know. People tend to feel much comfort on the internet that they do hate comments as something normal. People do it as, how do I say it? As a part of the routine. You know? People nowadays say that hate comments are kind of normal. The amount of hate comments that I see on the internet, either for me or for someone else, is just prodigious. I have strong mental. But when I read those hate comments, I get sad most of the time, let alone the person that is receiving the hate comments. People start to normalize hate comments. People say that everyone has the right to talk about everything they want, anything they want. I'm with them, but only on just one and only condition: to hurt any people's feelings. You are allowed to express yourself through words, but you don't have the right to talk about people badly. Let's get back to my second question, which was, what will you do if you saw the hate comments? Will you just ignore it, block it, or maybe report it? Let's assume that the hate comments were meant for you, not for someone else, just for you. Now we have three possible situations. First of all, ignore them. If you ignore the hate comments, your life will be so much peaceful. Let me tell you why. Because they will be giving up on putting some hate comments on a person that doesn't care about them. This person doesn't care about me. This person doesn't know that I exist. They will say like that. But what if they did the hate comments every single day? Every single hour? Every single minute? Every single second? Just every day? What if the hate comment is there just for you? And only for you? Will your life be peaceful? Will you still ignore them? I don't think so. That brings us to our second situation, which is block them. If you block the accounts that are spreading hate, the platforms, everything will be fine. Because you won't see their comment and they won't see yours. No? They will get tired of putting hate comments all over you. And you'll be just chilling, enjoying your life, being happy, being you. But, there's a but. What if they made another account to attack you? An account only for you. Imagine that. What will you do? In this case, we have our third situation, which is report them. Do you know that if a lot of people reported an account multiple times due to their improper behavior, then the account will just disappear? Like it was never there. A lot of platforms use this technique, and please let us just thank those platforms for existing this kind of thing on the internet. So, if you do one of these three situations, then I assume your life will be much more easier. But what if you don't do anything at all? You don't do something, you don't do anything, you just sit there seeing everything. What if you don't use the method block, report, ignore, etc.? Will your life be peaceful? But anyways, feel free. Feel free of doing the things that you want to do because, in my opinion, there's no such right or wrong in the situation. You just be you. Do you still remember what I said at the beginning? The internet is known as a place for freedom. Yes, it's a place for freedom. But sadly enough, the internet also known as a place for people to hate comments, to do hate comments. I only have one thing to say. Pity others. Yes, you heard me. You can ignore the hate comments, but there are a lot of people who can just sit there and just see them and ignore it. They can't do that. They will go late at night. They will cry thinking to themselves, am I good enough? What did I do to get such hate comments? Do I deserve this? I know and I believe there is no one on this earth that wants to be hated. We all want to be loved. So please, just pity the others. If you pity the others, then your life and their life will be so much filled with love. Why not change the internet to be a place filled with positivity, not negativity? It's not hard, because we just need some encouragement. That's all. We need people to support us. If bad people can spread negativity that easy, then I believe that good people can spread positivity as well. Then the internet will be a place known for freedom and safety. From what? From hate comments. The hate comments will still be there. But we can prevent them from happening. The simplest thing you can do is just like put a positive comment. That's all. That easy. Let me tell you something, and put this in your head. If someone did hate comments for you and keep doing it like every day on a daily basis, to the point that that person maybe just made an account just for you, then know that that person is craving for your attention. But ask this question to yourself. Is this person worthy of my time? It's a pretty good question though, not gonna lie. So good luck on finding the correct answer. Like I said earlier, you have the right to speak, but you don't have any right to speak badly about people. A wise person once told me, think twice before you speak or do something. So please choose your actions and words wisely. I'm Rani Kozibozi, and thank you.
All right, thank you. Participant number 2, should there be any comments by the judges, the time and place is yours.
Okay, so thank you very much, Rania, for your wonderful speech, asking about I think the purpose of your speech is actually for people to fill the internet with compassion so that it will be a better place to be in. And therefore, I think you should stick with that actually. I know you said a couple of other things afterwards. I think it's not necessary because I thought it was a very strong message. Just describe it. Okay, this is a situation. Your friend, your bestie, she says something very hurtful, and you want to say something, and then it's when the fingers are on the keyboard and it wants to move, and then oh yeah, let me have a cup of tea first, and think of pity, and react one day later. Just give an example and focus on that beautiful message of yours. Thank you very much.
Hi, Rania. So I think you have such a good fluency in English that it's very easy to digest as an audience, and also you have a very good pace as well. So you don't like rush things when you speak. One thing that I would like to see, you have this ability to move us with only your voice. I imagine what would it look like if you move them with an addition of body language. So I noticed this in your previous speeches as well, where you just like sit down and like not doing anything with your hands. So, but that can actually add more impact to your speech. So perhaps next time, try to experiment with body language and movement as well, right? Thank you.
Okay. Hi, Rania. So where are you? Are you at the wedding or a graduation ceremony or something? Anyway, I think for me, I'll just focus on the language aspect since Ibu Herlina and Ibu Fatima pointed out, very well about how to improve your public speaking ability. Try your best to spend time editing your work in terms of paraphrasing the words. There are repeated ideas actually, and then you tend to use the same keywords. Hate comments, yes, it actually highlights the consistency of the ideas. However, it's a bit boring. You can use other words like hate speech or negative comments, or even try to restructure the sentences so that you don't repeat the same word over and over again. Okay? All right. Yeah, I think that would have been better actually.
All right. Thank you so much, judges. To participant number 2, please stay in the Zoom meeting until the end of the session. Moving on to the next participant, participant number 4, Muhammad Farhan. Are you present and ready?
I'm more than ready.
All right. Your time is 7 to 10 minutes. Please deliver your...
Please, can you pin my video first? Because I cannot see my face. Thank you. One time, a close friend of mine told me that he's been sort of banned from Facebook and couldn't use pretty much anything from that platform for 30 days. As a good friend, I asked, why? He said that he has bullied an underage Asian, that's right, whose skin color is a mix of white and black. That's worse. He also said that he does his bully by saying the only stupid Asian, just because the video shows the Asian kid falling from a slide. Yet, he still has the audacity to condemn Facebook for doing so. I mean, are you out of your mind? I am fully 100% agree with Zuckerberg. But then he sent me the link to this video, and that's when I realized that's just a baby panda. An Asian, of course, black and white, absolutely, in China Zoo. A friend of mine has been deplatformed for saying stupid Asian to a baby panda. For the longest time I know, pandas don't speak English, nor use the social media. Anyway, set the story aside. I deeply think who's in charge of deciding hate speech or not in social media? Is this deplatform thing really going to work? Okay, perhaps it would have worked on my friend for not mocking pandas anymore. But what about those who has millions of followers, massive influence, those extremists? And that's the confusion. Ladies and gentlemen, by bringing this topic, I assume that we all already know what deplatform is. If you don't, the biggest example I can give is, again, Donald Trump. Since last year, the old man was pretty much banned from every social media. You could name it, and he was not there. The sole reason behind him getting the platform was that his actions, his tweet, his post was considered violating these social media rules. But remember, he has millions of followers, massive influence. From this, we can conclude the merit and danger of deplatforming. The good, it decreases hate speech and violence in social media, since we are not seeing them. And there will be no big names, Donald Trump, to spark the fire anymore. But the bad was the followers. The more we remove them, the more violent they get, which sadly shows by the United States Capitol riots in January of last year. Also, the longer and broader we deplatform, freedom of speech in social media would be no more, though it is our only hope in voicing the unheard. By this confusion comes the ugly, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Who should we rely on? The social media company or the government? Because both, if given too much power to control, will pretty much end up badly. The social media company, they only cares about profits. Money talks. Yet on the other hand, the government, they could and they will also ban critique and protest in social media, which will bring us back to authoritarianism. And no one, I believe not a single soul, wants it back. Yet if we don't do something, social media would never be a safe place, or at least a safer place for us to voice. At this point, we are damned if we do, but we're also damned if we don't. So how do we solve this? If you notice at my story before, the pandas and my friend, I rapidly judge my friend by his doing without knowing the context behind it. And sadly, I believe this has become a behavior in social media. Judging before checking. So I suggest, and this is also a reminder for me, the next time we see a sparking content, post, tweet, anything, spend 15 minutes to check what's their intent, to share, critique, or attention. Because most of the time, they only want attention, and followers agree. Also, the good government critic always has factual reason behind it, not just by assumptions. Then what if we still find ourselves disagreeing? We use the most powerful option, block, and we will never see them again. Now imagine, because we are the product of social media, those companies, Instagram, Facebook, Meta, Twitter, you can name it, does not want to lose its users, us. If thousands of its users report and block the same person, those social media companies should and have to evaluate that guy and the platform. Then Farhan, what about those extremists who plot after getting the platform? Easily speaking, all I can say is, once they go secret or plan too hard, that is not in our control anymore. That's for the officials. Ours is to keep the social media as a safe place, because those extremists do not have a broad public platform anymore. So then, those newcomers are not easily influenced by their radical beliefs. If we fix our social media behavior, if we spend 15 minutes to check, if we check before we judge, if we constantly ban, block the other Donald Trump, the social media is in our hand, not the company or the government. Then the platform would not be a problem. And I believe later on, those hate speech and violence in social media would vanish, or at least reduced. So ladies and gentlemen, social media is a great place where ideas and new concepts were born. So let the mind be free. Let it voice what needs to be done. Yet, I believe disagreements will always be there. In fact, it is in human nature. But don't we turn that disagreement into hate? Don't we turn ourselves into the other Donald Trump, who makes the social media's freedom become a bias until people, us, you and me, could not differentiate between freedom of speech and hatred. Lastly, a friend of mine learned to respect pandas after getting the platform. But we don't have to be him. We don't have to wait until we get banned so that we could learn to respect each other. It has to start today, and it starts by us. Thank you.
All right, thank you to participant number 4. Should there be any comments by the judges, the time and place is yours.
Okay, thank you, Farhan, for your speech. Yes. Okay, thank you very much. I know that you're very charismatic, and the way you speak about very specific examples of our lives, it's very relatable, but I'm very confused right now. Because once you said, okay, government shouldn't block, and then now you said you should block it yourself. I mean, I don't know, is it because of the transition or maybe you should say in the beginning, like, okay, there are 3 parties. There is the companies, there is the government, and there is you. So, okay, let me talk about the companies first. Government, then. And what about those 2? They cannot do anything. Yeah, it's up to you. You see, you did mention it somewhere in the end, but you didn't say it in the beginning. So I was completely lost. So be careful, yeah. And then because I don't, because in on one hand you said, yeah, and we can do anything. Government is going to block us, and that's so stupid about the panda. Hey, you know, animals have rights too. You know, joking, but still. Yeah, so be a bit more careful with putting rambo, yeah, signs, what you're talking about and what the conclusion is, because I'm confused. Sorry.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hi, Farhan. So this feedback is very subjective. Okay, so Bu Harlina said what's on her mind. I'll be saying what's in my mind. For me, it's interesting how you bring different point of views together, and I get it. Like when you say to focus on things you can control and you cannot control. So that for me, okay, what I can control is what I do, right? But what I cannot control is from the company and government perspective. So, and if it was me, I think I would have difficulty doing it. But I think for you, because it works with the analogy that you have, like probably the transition was not very explicit. That's why it can be confusing for some people. But the transition was on these sentences that very vague. But when you talk about it, it makes sense. Am I making sense? For example, like I said, when you say this is what we can control, and this is what we cannot control, and there's one sentence that says, and what we can do or ours. So I think that vague sentence actually makes sense for that transition. So for me, it's actually a strength to be able to have this, to bring these points together without really having to have those explicit statements. So it's very subjective. Also, I like the vocabulary, like audacity to condemn, merit and danger. I think that's very powerful, and we rarely see it in a varsity level speech. So really appreciate it. Thank you, Farhan.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Okay, hi Farhan. So for me, and this is for everyone, propositions, English propositions actually are, yeah, quite challenging for Indonesians, okay, because we tend to translate. But just remember, when it comes to social media, most of the time you say on social media, not in, because it's actually platform, okay? So it's not by the three-dimensional aspect. All right, and I think you did that again as well with the it starts by us instead of it starts from us. You know, it would be even more impactful if you had quoted some like popular saying by someone we probably know and look up to. But it's great. I enjoyed it really.
Thank you very much.
Oh, one more thing. It's not the other Donald Trump because you expect to have like more, so you say another Donald Trump, assuming other people will follow. It's not exactly like the last one. Okay? Yeah, just a bit grammatical tip.
All right, thank you, judges, and thank you, Farhan, for the charismatic performance. Now to Farhan, please stay in the Zoom meeting until the end of the session. Moving on to the next participant, participant number 5, Fauziatun Nabila. Are you present and ready?
Yes, am I visible and audible?
Yes, you are. All right, your time is 7 to 10 minutes. Please deliver your speech.
Back under the theme tolerance media. I began the speech by mentioning that several human rights as stated in Indonesia's constitution. And then I asked my audience which of those rights determine our life, especially our happiness. Now, allow me to quote a part of that speech. I asked people my age this question, and all of them had the same answer. The right that matters the most, according to them and myself, is the freedom of speech. Not being able to voice our thoughts is just like suppressing every urge that we have. It's equal to not being free at all. I believe that this isn't a baseless assumption. If it were, social media wouldn't have been a big deal at all. Please note that I wrote and performed this when I was 16. And I recall that I actually asked my classmates prior to writing that statement. Although, well, yeah, I must admit that the interview was not devoid of attempts to direct my friend's answer towards the right to freedom of speech. I genuinely believed that the right to express ourselves or voice our thoughts was very important, especially for teenagers my age then who were eager to find their identity and find validations from social media as a source of sense of fulfillment. However, there were internet trolls or school bullies who enjoyed dropping unpleasant comments and end up hurting our feelings. That said, the main idea of my speech back then was not tolerating hate speech to realize unlimited freedom of speech, but tolerance as a tool of consideration before we post something. So this is the context is online, so that we only put out something that if it were directed to ourselves, we'd gladly tolerate it. Now, okay, yeah, I realize. Okay, Dila, now you're just rambling on. All right then, try thinking about it. What could possibly be the reason I brought up a personal testimony from 5 years ago? This was in 2017 when the term deplatforming was not as familiar as they are now, but hate speech was already a big concern. Electronic information and transactions law, or we know now as ITE, back then was already used to criminalize hate speech, violence, misinformation, cyberbullying on social media. But I thought the use was quite exclusive to famous people or people in power. Back then, most of the news about hate speech or cyberbully lawsuit was mostly done by celebrities and politicians. Thus, most of the time, the recipient of hate speech was actually responsible for their own feelings. And the believer of misinformation was responsible for their own thoughts. It was pretty much, you get hurt over that? You believe that nonsense? Yeah, it's all on us. But fast forward 5 years later, we're now in 2022. On top of platforms banning accounts with strong presence but bad influence or deplatforming, we have netizens and their capacity to cancel public figures online and mass roast accounts with maybe less significance, but whose opinion we find offensive. Some would say that we're progressing towards a social media platform that is safer, thus a better society. But some would say that we're actually leaning towards major violation of freedom of speech, which could soon turn into attempts to silence any party deemed unfit to certain authorities' goal. My take on this issue is an attempt to balance the merit and danger of deplatforming. Hate speech and violence have been threats. It has been a danger to a safe platform for quite some time now. So I do believe that deplatforming come in handy. However, it needs to be clearly regulated. What qualifies someone to be deplatformed? And it needs to be done through a transparent process. As much as we want to protect our society from hatred and misinformation, we also need to ensure that this is not used to take away the voice of marginalized communities. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the right to voice our thoughts, the one right that matters the most to my 16-year-old self, is also a fundamental human right for every human. The right that all of us have when we're born as human beings, not subject to change, even when the majority of the world regards us as less important beings. Or if some figure of authorities think we're just being nuisance to them. So, to wrap up this speech, I will again quote myself from 2017. I said this. In one of Miley Cyrus' hit song, We Can't Stop, the lyrics say, "It's my mouth, I can say what I want to," the exact thing everyone says to justify their words, whether the good or the bad. So now we're back to square one. To what extent are we free to say whatever we please? Both you and I, we have the power to decide that at the tip of our fingers. While you think that you'll never be in the position to get deplatformed, or maybe you'll never be big enough of an account to get canceled, let's take it as our individual responsibility to turn these platforms to a safer and healthier place to interact. Starting from ourselves. Thank you.
All right, thank you, participant number 5. Should there be any comments by the judges, the time and place is yours.
Okay, my turn. Thank you very much, Nabila. Very nice speech. Unfortunately, I missed the first part. Your voice was breaking, so I have totally missed your introduction. So I don't know what it was about. And but I really love the way how is your conversational style, and that is one thing that really draw me to you. It's very relatable, and I only am confused about the marginalized groups who could not voice. You didn't give any examples, so I have no clue what you're talking about. Are you talking about your 16-year-old self? Is that a marginalized group? I thought that was the biggest group. I think the most vocal group. Yeah, that's why you should actually make it more specific. Yeah, I'm just an old lady. I'm totally not familiar with all these social media things, so it should be a little bit more clear. And yeah, but I think you did a good job. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for the feedback. I appreciate it.
Hi, Nabila. So,
Hi.
been doing public speaking since 16, huh? So practice makes perfect. I mean, the way you deliver the speech really stood out. Like it was amazing to see you being at ease on stage and deliver these ideas, putting emphasis on certain words. Your vocal variety was also great. But also similar with Ibu Harlina, I had difficulty tailoring the opening because your voice was breaking at the beginning and I couldn't understand. And then, so I think what could have made the speech better was actually that Miley Cyrus song. That could actually be used in the opening as well. So instead of explaining what you were talking about, just go straight with the song because that song actually explains everything. Yeah, and that made it simpler because you said like, Bila, what are you talking about? You know, there was that point, right? So
yeah,
I think that Miley Cyrus will definitely help clear up the confusion at the beginning. So well done. Thank you, Bila.
Okay, thank you for the feedback, ma'am.
All right. Hi, Bila. I think you're one of the candidates with the strongest presence, to be honest. I really, really like the way you delivered your speech. However, you're moving too often, and that can be a bit distracting. Just tone it down just a little bit. Other than that, it's actually it's really great and like inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for the feedback.
All right, thank you, judges. That marks the last performance of the finalists. Highest appreciation goes to all the participants who have shown the best of their ability. Now we're going to move on to the general feedback from the judges. You are allowed to deliver your feedback for 3 minutes maximum. The first one will be Judge Harlina. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. So I would just want, let me open my video. I just want to congratulate all the finalists. You did you did a wonderful job. I'm not doing a wonderful job now with my hair, but you all did with your attire, with everything. It was well done, and it's obvious that you all prepared yourselves well. That's what I really like. Even though there were some hesitations here and there, but you're all prepared well, and that really warms up my heart. I'm just an old lady. I don't know Miley Cyrus. I don't know social media. People complain about me not being active on my Instagram. So please bear with me. There are people like me around. Yeah, the so-called boomers, like one of you said. Yeah, I'm almost one of them. So, and so for people like me, speech is not like a book. Yeah, you cannot reread a book. So once you speak, it's gone. That's why you have to be clear with the transitions. Yeah, if you do not know what to say as a transition, just pause. I mean, especially for like Farhan, yeah. I mean, what you said is all interesting and well, and I like it a lot. But just give me time to absorb a little bit. And the simplest way how to do it is by pausing between the paragraphs. What did they say? Yeah, say what you say, what you want to say it, and after that, say it again. I think one of you in the final, I forgot who it was. So, yeah, Raina, I think. She talked about 3 experiences. And then she said something like, yeah, because of these experiences, ABC, she said. But I think it's better to summarize it again. I actually already forgot about the experiences. So do summarize again in brief what those experiences are, and then after that say a conclusion. Because a speech is different than a thesis, yeah, or a scripture where you are not supposed to repeat things. In speech, you are allowed to repeat things because we forget, the audience forgets. It's okay. And sometimes people repeat things for effect, yeah. They repeat even parts of sentences just for the effect. So I would say congratulations to you all. It was really a beautiful contest to watch. And yeah, it's also congratulations to the organizers. Actually, this is very a good learning process for the organizers, how to deal with people who are so annoying like me. Yeah. A lot of requests, a lot of this and lots of that. So I would really ask everybody to give a big applause to the organizers. Well done, really well done. And I don't know how many nights you haven't slept, but it's a really great event. And for all the finalists also, I think in Toastmasters, we also do this kind of contest, but we do not really give comments on the sheets. And I think that is something that is really great here in this contest, that we as judges are allowed to give comments so that you can take it home. I know it's subjective, but maybe it can be helpful for all of you. And I hope you can learn from this wonderful experience. And thank you for having me here.
All right, thank you so much, Judge Harlina. Moving on to the next judge, Judge Fatima, you may proceed.
Thank you, Jasmine. So, hi. Thank you for having me as a judge. It's an honor to actually witness this fantastic performance. I mean, this is a college level competition, but for me, what you guys are presenting in front of us, it's much like, it's way better than, it's like watching a TEDx video, but in a shorter version. So I think you guys have done so much to prepare this, and I really appreciate that, especially for the semi-finalists. Also, this doesn't go only to the finalists, but to the semi-finalists as well, because I think that is the most difficult thing ever, like composing your speech within 1 hour, then you have to memorize everything, then you cannot read the script, right? So I think to the semi-finalists who are still in this Zoom, well done, guys. I couldn't have do it, but you guys did very well. I haven't been in public speaking for so long, like 4 or 5 years. I think witnessing so many speeches as a judge, right? Witnessing so many speeches at like one span of a time is very difficult. So what would make your speech stand out is actually, number one, personal story. So whatever research, whatever data you have, try to tailor it to your personal story so that you will make it relatable to the audience and also remarkable, that we remember what your speech was about. That's number one. Second one is closing. You guys talk a lot in those 5-7 minutes, right? And then we forget because we have heard so many speeches today already, so we forgot. So help us to bring something home by having like a short conclusion of your speech. Like, for example, if there is one thing you can take away from my speech today, is spread positivity. That's it. Like a very simple thing for us to take home. So very well done. I'm very happy to actually witness all of your speeches today, and thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Judge Fatima. Moving on to the next judge, Judge Eka, you may proceed.
All right, okay. Thank you very much, Jasmine, and all the, committee members for your hard work. And I think my feedback would be actually for all participants. What I see is that some of you really need to work more on your pronunciation. It would be very hard to actually follow your ideas when you don't speak clearly. You don't need to focus or be very ambitious in adopting certain types of English, like British accent or American accent. Just speak clearly and enunciate. Sometimes it seems like you don't pronounce certain sounds just simply because you don't really, shape your mouth in certain ways or actually move your tongue a little bit. And I think still on pronunciation, clarity of your speech also is based on the way you chunk ideas. So for the semifinals, especially, I think starting even from the preliminary rounds, I noticed that some speakers actually don't really know how to chunk ideas. So they don't really sound logic sometimes when you simply just listen to the basic way of memorizing words, as well as actually on knowing what you want to say. Okay, so and it's really I think I cannot imagine, to be honest. I've never been in a speech competition as a participant in English, let alone. So I think my only experience public speaking is in front of my students, okay, or on webinars, for example. So hats off to all of you, all of the participants, and especially those who made it to the final round. Okay, so applause to yourself. Good job.
Thank you so much, judges, for the wonderful feedbacks. Dear participants, we have reached the last session of speech competition of the 26th ALSA National English Competition. I would like to thank all the judges and participants for your preparation and participation throughout this event. On behalf of the entire organizing committee, we apologize if there were any mistakes by actions or any unpleasant words in organizing this event. Once again, I would like to thank our sponsors and partners. Thank you to Toko Vendor and Royal English as our sponsors, and info.event, info.lomba, eventcenter.id, online.lomba, Point Campus, Event Campus, Jagat Lomba Indonesia, Media Lomba Plus, infolomba.est, and infolomba.sch as our media partner. Lastly, I would like to remind all participants to attend the closing ceremony of the 26th ALSA National English Competition on Tuesday, August 30th, 2022, since there will be a winner's announcement and you must be present at the closing ceremony in order to get your e-certificate. We hope to see you there and we wish you all the best of luck. I, Jasmine, as the Master of Ceremony, signing out. I wish to meet you again in other upcoming opportunities. Since the event has come to an end, participants and judges are allowed to leave the Zoom meeting immediately. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Om Shanti 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 Om. Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. The 26th ALSA National English Competition. Enforce perseverance, seek for brilliance. ALSA, always be one.